I'm Alexi Pappas, and this is Help Me Please, the segment of Mentor Buffet where I answer your question. We have Jimmy, who's 28 from New York City, says, I tweak out anytime anybody slides any type of criticism or feedback my way. Why am I so defensive, and how can I cut it out? Okay, so I think the first thing to talk about is that defensive response that you have. And it's something that I've been working on a lot with my therapist, is not being so defensive, because I can get defensive as my first instinct when someone is giving me any kind of feedback. And the advice that I got about defensiveness that helped me the most was to try to pivot to being curious when somebody asks me a question or gives me any type of comment. Basically, pausing myself, because my first reaction, if I don't pause, is to be defensive. And then to remind myself that my operative word is curious. And curiosity to me instantly puts you in this like receiving perspective. It doesn't have to be a threat. It's okay that your first instinct is to be defensive. It just is what it is. But you can slowly retrain yourself so that your first response when people are talking to you, criticism or otherwise, is curiosity. In theory, if someone's giving you feedback, they want to help you if it's a positive person in your life. And even if the feedback is something you want to ignore, that's the next step. The first step is, how do you receive it and then put it in a place where you can later decide what to do with it. What do we do with criticism? So creatively, I used to be like really confused how to take it, because it felt like something was wrong. And then I started to think about criticism as I used to think about blood work as a professional athlete. When I was training really hard, you had to get regular blood work to check your iron and these things that have to be at a certain level. I want to know what certain people think, not everybody. And then it's up to me to decide what I do with it, which is the same with blood work, right? You could have high cholesterol and decide to do nothing about it, but you ignoring that you have high cholesterol is not doing anyone any favors. And it doesn't have to be personal or a threat to me. And I can have a separate time with myself where I decide what to do with it. I got this advice about criticism from Jenny Simpson, who's this Olympian, that we're supposed to care about very few people's opinion. Jenny Simpson told me to pick 5 people in my life whose opinions really mattered to me and let those matter, and then ignore everything else. And she's a really accomplished athlete. And I thought that was pretty cool, because she wasn't saying don't care about anybody's opinion. She was saying pick 5. And it might be that with a specific thing, you pick 5 people to get feedback from and you ignore the rest. I think one of the problems with getting feedback from 100 people instead of 5 is that you might be mistaking feedback for approval. So if there's only 5 people at the table, you hold a really strong seat. And also allow there to be some input from a really core, concentrated group of people that you admire and that you've been intentional about. We kind of live in a time where people can comment on anything. Like they can comment on a picture that you didn't ask for comments on. They can comment. So there's this muscle of like commenting is what we do to each other. And so part of this might be keeping some of yourself to yourself, so that you're not opening up yourself to the opportunity for other people to even comment on things. If there's a person at a party where you tell them something and they offer something that you didn't ask for their opinion, you need to understand with yourself that you have to let those things go. Like you can let people's nervous chatter or opinions run right past you like the wind. Like you don't go outside and just let the wind ruin your day. You don't not walk across the street because it's windy. And if you really don't want the wind, the criticism, the comments from people at all, don't talk about it at all. Like know that the strongest stance you can take with protecting yourself from people's opinions is to not give them any fuel to opinionate on. It sometimes does feel like we have to share everything with everyone all the time, but I think that you can keep some things to even like a journal, Because what if it's a thought that you're still processing or an idea that isn't even solid for yourself? Like, you deserve the space to let it morph and develop with just with you and you at the other side of the table. And that's, again, up to you. And so I think a lot of this, Jimmy is really just saying that a lot of this is in your hands. And it might feel like you're being thrown the world at you and it doesn't feel so good. But what I'm here to say is that you're in control of being able to shift your relationship to criticism and how much of it even enters your space. Okay, next question we have is from Baylor, who's 24 from Fremont, Washington, says, I graduated from college 3 years ago and I still live with my parents. I'm a nanny and I like it, but I always thought of it as only temporary and I don't have any pull toward anything else, even though I know I want to be doing something else. How do I get in touch with where I'm heading next? My first thought is like, are they saying I don't want to live with my parents? No, they actually didn't say that. So if you didn't write something here and you don't want to live with your parents, that's a whole other question. But what I'm reading, if I'm directly reading your question, is I don't know what I want to do. And there's not an urgency for anything other than figuring out what I'm passionate about to make money. But everything else can stay the same for the moment. And the reason why that's important is because it's hard to figure everything out at one time. And so I'm going to focus with this question on figuring out what makes you feel good and like you have purpose. And that's the main goal. And as far as moving toward that, people say like, what's your mind going to? What are you Googling? Where do you go on social media? And I think that's helpful to think about where your mind goes when you're not working and where it goes when you are supposed to be working, but you're distracted. Like if the kids are asleep that you're babysitting, what are you searching on the internet? Or what are you doing on your weekends or your time off? Some advice for you about finding what your passion is or what might light you up if you cannot imagine anything at all is to take an exercise that I learned from Deepak Chopra in this meditation he did with us in New York City. And he had us sit in a room and asked questions of us. So he asked us questions and he told us specifically to not reach for the answer. And it was such a unique way of thinking about finding answers because I was so accustomed, as we all are, to the minute somebody asks me a question, I want to get the answer. Almost like it's like, go get the apple off the tree, and that I had to go get it. And what he was saying is actually, I want you to sit there and repeat the question over and over again without reaching for the answer and see what comes to us. The truth is that we're thought machines. And so when he asked us a question like, what is your purpose? What are you grateful for? And I just sat there, answers came. Now, the interesting thing is that sometimes the thoughts that come are not rooted in the tangible, even the job world at all, right? Like you might imagine something that's a little bit abstract. Could be music. It could be something that you've never seen as a job, because we're talking here about what you want to do with your life. But that's okay. Because what you want to do, Baylor, may not even exist yet. And starting from a place of allowing ideas to come to you and thoughts to come to you in this way is a great way to start possibly discovering something that doesn't exist yet in the world. This exercise is really, really helpful for answering any question that you don't have the answer to. So it could be, who am I? What do I like? What does a Saturday look like in my dream world? And I think just spending the time to quiet your reaching muscles and let things come to you is a good place to start. So take a seat and ask yourself this question over and over again. What do I like to do? What do I want to do? Or what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And see what comes to you. When I did this exercise, the what is my purpose question was really funny to me because it wasn't a real job. Deepak Chopra asked me, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I asked myself, and the image that came to mind was me hugging a 21-year-old girl and saying, you're going to be okay. And then another 20-year-old girl, you're going to be okay. And then another girl, you're going to be okay. And it was funny to me because that's not a job, right? That's not a career path, but it is my purpose, right? Like it's one of the things that I want to do is help young women feel like they're going to be okay and like they can keep moving. And it was a lovely exercise to show me that your purpose is not always you're going to run in the Olympics. It can sometimes be a bit more abstract, and then you can find how it actually actualizes in a way you don't expect. If you're someone that goes on Instagram and sees things that you like and it makes you feel like you don't have what you want, you need to figure out what parts of those people that you're seeing is exciting you. So is it that they're traveling? Is it that they get to dress up for a living? Is it that they are around really cool people all the time? Like what about it is exciting you? Because it's really overwhelming to just look at other people's lives and one, assume that that's their whole life and that's the whole picture. And two, to feel like you need all of that all at once when that's a big step and you don't even know what parts of it are exciting you. So yeah, I think you can use social media as maybe like inspiration for elements of your life that you want to add. And that seems doable, right? Like if someone is simply traveling more, is there a way for you to move in that direction as an isolated goal? I think the other thing to know is that anything you try or anything you shift about your life, like if you find one element of your life that you might expand or change, whether it's you are inspired by someone else or you want to try something, it will change the rest of your life too. So shifting one thing will affect everything else. And so as you're sitting here right now, Baylor, and thinking very uncomfortable thoughts, I think it's important to know that anything different will change and color everything else. That's true. Even changing what time you wake up in the morning will make a shift in your life. It will change your perspective. And so if you're deer in the headlights, you need to just take some small steps, make some changes, and see how those shift the rest of your life. Another thing you can do is have a better dialogue with yourself. If you aren't sure what you want, it helps to start a dialogue with yourself and ask yourself what you want from the perspective of an older you talking to a younger you. Sometimes the current you is the most confused, but an older you, like me, an older Alexi, might say, how are you feeling today? And the one that answers is younger. In my mind, it's a lot easier to answer the question. I'm like, I feel okay. And the older might be like, well, what do you need? Or what feels exciting to you? And that dialogue is actually like building a relationship with yourself that has way more answers than you think. So try that if you feel like really stuck. Try to take your present you out of it and just imagine you're an older you and a younger you and have them talk for a while.
And this is basically...
And you can do this when you're driving in the car. You can do it when maybe even when you're babysitting, if there's quiet moments. Just start a dialogue that asks yourself questions and that observes things and that is maybe more proud of yourself for what you are doing than you feel right now without taking the time to zoom out like that. And it's kind of awkward at first. Like it's not normal to be like, how are you doing? I don't know. I'm doing okay. Well, is there anything you need? Like it's a weird thing to start doing because we don't have that routine. But once you start doing it, it actually gets fun, and you'll be good at it because there's endless. You can talk about anything with yourself, and there's no judgment. There's no use in judging anyway because it's just you.
I guess my question.
Okay, our last question today is Carly, 29, from Bakersfield, California. I'm engaged to be married, but I also have a crush on my fiance's friend. Do I continue to live something that feels sometimes like a lie, a small lie, or do I do the psycho thing that feels more true? You don't get married at this moment. I think the real answer to this question is marriage is an exciting big thing in your life that should feel like a compass that's pointed very confidently in the same direction for a very long time, and you can never imagine it pointing in a different direction. And if you have a crush on your fiance's friend, then that means that the compass is like flickering in a different direction and then coming back to your north. And that's not the right time to get married, to be honest. I don't think it means you need to go be with this other person. I think it means that you need to spend some time with yourself and figure out what you really want or what values of yours are causing this flicker to happen. Marriage is as much about commitment as it is having an everlasting feeling. And it's a choice that you make to be committed no matter what. And the flickers, I think that they can come in the form of like frustration or doubt, but they don't actually cause the compass to move when you are really ready to be married. And if you're even asking me this question, me, a stranger that you trust, it probably means that there's a distance that you need to go before you're ready to really be married. Okay, Carly, on the other hand, using the word crush is like a really powerful word because it feels like you're drawn and can't stop thinking about this person, and it feels deviant and it feels sexual or romantic. And what I'm wondering too is, why does it have to be that? And maybe there's a way for you to reorient with things that delight you or attract you or you're magnetized towards in your life, and thinking about them more like, I'm magnetized towards this, or this, it delights me like art delights me. Like, you know, like you might see a painting on the wall that is like, whoa, but it doesn't mean you want to hang it in your house every day. It doesn't mean you want to buy it. It means you're glad that it exists and you can appreciate it. It doesn't mean you want to kiss it. Yeah, I wonder where it's coming from, because in a way, it's like, if you think about this, the person you say the crush, it's more like, what do you get out of this situation? Because if it's that you like, if you need like attention and you like the attention, that's like a you thing, right? And you're going to find it no matter who you're madly in love with and want to marry. You're going to find a need to ignite something that feels like that no matter what. So it might be about how you relate to men. Like, the world is supposed to be kind of your muse too. Even your romantic partner is supposed to be like, someone you marry is actually just supposed to be like someone who would otherwise be like your best friend, who you choose to share a life with and you're attracted to. But they should have their own like full, complete life, and you should delight in watching them exist. Trying to see your relationship with people in the world as more appreciating other people and being curious about them, rather than trying to have them in relation to you all the time. And that's a practice you can start by any time you meet a new person, appreciating them, saying like, what about this person do I admire? What about this person do I like? Am I attracted to? Not attracted to in a way where I need to cross the, like, their art. Like, I think meeting people as art is a good way to start redeveloping your relationship to the world, if this is a thing that feels true to you. And then if it's art, you just want to like appreciate it. You want to get to know it. You want to maybe help make it better, put a better light on it if it's a little dark. You want to dance next to it. Maybe you want to dance with it, but you don't need to like have it. You don't need to own it, you know? You don't need to touch it. And if there's something about it that you're actually attracted to and you want in yourself, just become it. Yeah, I think actually people have a big problem with this when they have a need to outsource anything, right? It's another outsourcing of, I need to go into them or with them in order to have me be me or me feel good. But yeah, I mean, they say a lot of people would stay better as friends anyway. So I think just starting there. But maybe you don't need to just break up your marriage, like I said. Maybe you need to start by making sure you're not using other people actually for something that you can get from yourself. Something I'm going through right now is putting myself in situations where I don't know how they're going to go. So for me, it happens to be in running a little faster in a marathon, running a little longer in a race, and not actually having like a specific coach to tell me, you're ready to do this. It's going to go great. Like, I really don't know if these things are going to go great or what even great would mean, because it's almost a new sport in ultra running. And what's cool for me is that I have a good feeling about it, but I have the goal of experiencing it no matter what. And that's a different approach than when you're chasing an Olympic dream and you want to be ready and know. I'm going into this trying to not know and explore and discover and get more information. And it feels a little vulnerable to do that, but it feels fun to give myself the chance because I'm doing my life in a way that I really enjoy. And I'm genuinely curious if the life I'm living that I love can create an environment for me to still expand in things like running in a way that's different than when I was training really hard as an Olympian. The short version of that is basically saying, I'm curious if the life I love can give me the opportunity to expand in a niche area of life that it used to be my entire world. And I can only know by trying and by having like a little bit of kindness toward myself and a sense of humor, because it might not go great. And I think that's a really good way for me to live a really original life, because no one's done this before. So I got to do it. If no one's done it, I got to do it to figure out if it can be done. That's Help Me Please. I'm Alexi Pappas. Please write your questions to the Mentor Buffet Instagram, and please subscribe. It's really helpful when you subscribe to the show. It will download automatically. We have amazing guests, athletes, entrepreneurs, businessmen, Hollywood, all the things, chefs. Subscribe on YouTube, pre-save on Spotify, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Mentor Buffet. And like and comment on Instagram. It's really, really helpful. I love having this show and talking to the most interesting people about the people who inspire them, and your support means a lot to me. Bye.